to us plebs putting up with it.
Well, thank you for being nice. It's nice to have actually a cordial person come on. Not that the other people weren't nice, but I've been dealing with like idiots all day. So thank you for being kind. Merry Christmas to you.
I appreciate it. So I have a question on doctrine. So I'm in this debate. I'm basically in this Twitter feud with this guy, and it's about immigration. And the inevitable thing that they'll bring up is it'll be like, "Oh, you're a Christian," and I can understand how a Christian can have a problem with like homosexuality, but a Christian, there's no basis for being a Christian and being against immigration. And they'll say like, "Oh, in Leviticus, it says treat the foreigner and the native, like the foreigner and native are the same." What is your take? What do you think the Bible has to say
first of all,
immigration?
yeah, the ancient Israelites had an insular culture where they did not allow open borders. So that's first of all just totally idiotic to make the application to Leviticus's rules about how you treat the foreigner. Who really thinks that the ancient Israelites allowed mass immigration? That's crazy. They don't. They knew that would be destructive to the culture. So that's a false comparison, first of all. Secondly, the rest of the law is all about the preservation of the nation of Israel. So while it's true that national principles from Israel still are applicable, I would just say go read the document from the Russian church at mospat.ru about church and society, because it shows the Orthodox perspective about the balance between the nation and the broader scope. Now, nowadays we don't have an empire or an imperium in the sense of like Russia or Byzantium. We live under the weird, American empire that we have today, but the principles still apply in the sense of that you do have a duty to your nation, to your people, to patriotism. That's all there in the Russian church statement. So that's what I adhere to. And I would say that will have a good series of sources on what texts rebut that bad interpretation, that made up interpretation of the Old Testament. And by the way, leftists hate the Old Testament. So what a bunch of BS double standard to pull out. Yeah, come on, to pull out quotes about trying to prove open mass numbers through text in Leviticus. That's utterly disingenuous and stupid.
You kind of took it down pretty quickly. I'm glad people like you are around to just smack these arguments around. But like I was talking about like the Tower of Babel, Table of Nations. I pointed to like there's this verse in Acts 17 verse 26 that I think is pretty good. I pointed.
That God established the boundaries of the nations when He created Adam and Eve. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Mm-hmm. Would you use those too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in Apocalypse 4, when John sees into heaven, he sees people from every tribe, tongue, and nation. He doesn't see a bunch of gray blobs. He sees people retaining who they were. They don't believe in the resurrection. Don't you realize when we're resurrected, it's the same bodies? Every icon teaches you the resurrection. It's the same body that they had. They're still the same people they were. You don't lose your heritage and your history. That's Gnostic. That's why Jesus is a Hebrew dude. He's Hebrew. You can't make him Chinese Jesus.
Where is that in the that's in what chapter? The thing about
it's a Revelation 4 out of every tribe, tongue, and nation.
Okay, I'll look at that. Thank you. That's
excuse me, it's Revelation 5 5:9.
Okay.
So the Catholics will hear me. I said Revelation 4, but it was actually Revelation 5:9. The Catholics will be like, "Oh, dude, he got the wrong verse. We got him. He's done, dude. PTFO, he's done. He's got to close it down, dude. He can't do it anymore. He's done. He's done. He's done." That's how they act, right? Like, so if you're calling from memory something, is it Revelation 4 or 5? Oh, dude, you don't know the verse. Gotcha.
Wow. Yeah, wow, that was very helpful. Yeah, Revelation 5:9. The guy is also saying like, oh, well, when it says God made the nations, it's like descriptive, not prescriptive. And I kept trying to tell him like, well, it's God's will. You're you can disobey God's will and like do what you want. This guy's really
Well, okay,
dumb.
so if you read the idea of nations here is out of Genesis. Okay, so Genesis 10, the table of the nations, and you get 70 nations that eventually come out of right, the sons of Noah. Right, so you've got all these different nations. They create the Tower of Babel, like you said, in an attempt to create a one world government. Right, I mean that's what the Tower of Babel is all about, and the church, in a sense, is in the Pentecostal liturgy, it's always the reversal of Babel. But the reversal of Babel doesn't mean, oh, therefore we're going to get rid of everybody's languages and national distinctives and all this kind of stuff. That's silly. I mean, obviously that's not what it means, because the Orthodox Church has always had nations. Again, read the Russian church document on church and society. It tells you, again, what's just the simple classical position. Now, there is some nuance. I don't know. Just go to mospad.ru and it's church and society. But there is there's a nuance here, because nation state in the modern world post-revolutionary period is different than the way it was conceived of in terms of the Genesis 10, obviously. So not everybody in today's world understands nation in the same way, right? So when Jesus says go out and convert the nations, he's talking about his in his understanding, it's what's in Genesis 10. That's what he means. But after the French Revolution, there's a new understanding of nation states that's a revolutionary concept, right? So we don't mean it in the sense of post-French Revolutionary nation state. So that's another distinctive to make.
Yeah, so that's cool. All right, thank you so much. I guess I'll just ask this one thing. So hopefully, I don't think. Well, I guess you don't have the answer. This is like too far, but so you wouldn't think like conserving your race is like anti-Christian, right?
Well, I think that if you read Staniloy, he has a discussion where he talks about the different people groups, and the different people groups have to be in some way maintained within the broader spectrum. So there's a one and many balance relationship that goes on here, where the goal of the church is not to wipe out any group, but it's also not to pick one group and set them in kind of like an ethnic superiority. So the ideal is balance between the different people groups, and ideally it would be an imperium. That's why it was better to have the empire, which could have a degree of unity amongst the many different nations and people groups. So that's what we're shooting for. That's the ideal here. But no, of course, nobody should undergo genocide.
All right, yeah, that's cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. There we go. I've got a question for you.
There's a really good documentary. That documentary on Byzantium that the Russia Insight channel did is really good, because it talks about the balance of the nation state within the Imperium. It's Byzantine Empire wrecked by the West or something like that. I forget the name of the documentary, but it's really good. It makes this point, and it talks about how you can have a danger either way. Like you can have this falling over into the empire crushing and blending everybody into a megalopolis, and then you can fall over into the other extreme where the documentary makes the argument that the Greeks eventually, not totally, but Greeks were partly responsible for the fall of Byzantium because of national pride. So their national pride, kind of contributed to the demise of Byzantium. So you can see how it could go either way, but ideally it would be the Orthodox Imperium. I mean, just what read what Father Rose says in the book on nihilism.